Smoak.
All right, we're doing start this 4 o'clock hour, joined by Max Olson, theathletic.com. Joins us on Thursdays at this time. Max, thank you very much for your time. So the Athletic Conference has been, American Athletic Conference has grown, and yet they might still shrink before it's all said and done. The dominoes continue to fall. Your thoughts about what they've done?
Yeah, great for the Texas schools, right? I mean, that's exciting to see for those three to get to move up in the food chain here a little bit. The reason that this is a big move, and I'm sure there's probably some folks who maybe can't discern the differences between Group of 5 leagues, but you're moving up to the one that has the best TV deal, and probably even got overpaid a little bit on their last TV deal. So it's a good destination to end up in. And, interesting move for the AAC. I know that they're going to keep saying they're the Power 6 league and all that. I don't know perception-wise if that's the case, but, I think it's, once again, these things have moved fast this year, and I think that over the next few years, we're certainly not done.
Max, what did you think about Bob Bowlsby's comments about Texas and Oklahoma from Big 12 basketball media days?
I think Bob Bowlsby feeling betrayed by Texas and Oklahoma is not really like news this week. I mean, that's been the case ever since July. I think maybe this was noteworthy to people yesterday because he finally talked to the Austin American-Statesman and hadn't really been doing any interviews with the folks who cover Texas or Oklahoma here over these last few months. But, I think that as much as he would probably love to unload on those two schools and their leadership and all that, I do know it's, from everything I've been told, that I think they still have to be careful. I think they still have to, remember that these two schools are members of your league for who knows how long. And, you can't treat them like less than a member, because certainly they're looking for any reason to claim that, they have every right to get out of the Big 12 and not pay the full price and all that. So I know from an exit standpoint, really still in a standoff here, a staring contest. But certainly interesting anytime Bob Bowlsby goes on the record about those two.
Max, so going back to realignment for a second, what do you think happens to Conference USA? They appear to be, teetering a bit after the swath of schools left the American, and now there's talk about, what they might do or what the Sun Belt. It kind of seems like Conference USA and Sun Belt are now in a duel to grab the last remaining teams almost.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate position, and this is, look, as we saw with the Big 12, and throughout July and August, you got to be proactive. If you're not proactive, then you're getting poached. And so, I think that, the Conference USA tried to approach the AAC about, hey, can we do some sort of partnership or whatever? By then it was already too late. I think that the folks leading those conferences, certainly it makes sense to, be active right now. And I think that Mike Oresco had to do something to save face after losing three very valuable members and then being turned down by members of the Mountain West. So these are wild times. And I don't know what the future of Conference USA is that calling up, we're at 130 right now at the FBS level. So is that about calling up, more schools and expanding that beyond 130? I don't really know, but certainly they're in a tough spot here.
So now you have usually a midseason All-American team. You have even a midseason All-Freshman team. And now Max Olson comes up with a midseason transfer portal team. Tanner Mordecai, who we've had on this show, we covered him in high school.
Yep.
Makes a lot of sense, obviously. But Grant Miller and Jacob Gall, a lot of people want to watch. How did Baylor's offensive line improve so much? And yes, Mateos and Grimes and others have a lot to do with that. But how about how they've hit on those two? And then Siaka Ika, is starting to play much better as well.
Yeah, definitely Afu was in the mix there, and I ranked him very high in our transfer portal 100 this summer. That haven't been disappointed by how he's played. I think the D-tackle on NC State's just been a little bit more productive here lately. But, now look, going through this process, quite honestly, when you're trying to put together an all-portal team, on the offensive line, I mean, there's, I think, maybe 15, 20 guys I looked at, period, across the country. It is very hard to find plug and play, starting offensive linemen and guys that can play, in the case of Jacob Gall, moving up a level here a bit to go to a Power 5 school, like that's not guaranteed to work out. I think there's been a lot of schools that have everyone's got O-line needs, and everyone's looking for great O-linemen in the portal, and Baylor found two really good ones, and we knew that about Jacob Gall. He was PFF has graded him out really highly, in his last season at Buffalo, and he was even a second team midseason All-American for the Athletic, this week. But same thing with Miller. Like great evaluation there, and also, just great coaching to take these guys and put them in the right spots and build that chemistry and look the way that not just Baylor's offensive productivity, but then taking Gary Bohannon and for him to have, I think, 18 total touchdowns and one pick now. Like I think that support that he's getting from his O-line was a big reason why I put both of them on the team there.
Max, knowing that Scott Woodward likes to go big game hunting, where do you see his sights being set on Ed Orgeron's replacement?
Yeah, I mean, probably Belichick and Parcells, and I mean, how high can you go, right? I mean, I think that it's a great question. Our Bruce Feldman reported at the start of the week here that when they talk big game hunting, they mean trying to make a run at a guy like Dabo Swinney. Now, I think the difficult thing there is that Dabo Swinney and Jimbo Fisher have both kind of like they have their kingdoms, right? They are at schools where these schools are going to do anything they say to be successful and to chase championships and stuff. And so, I don't know that either of them needs to walk away from a really good situation and into a place of LSU that's a little bit of a mess right now. But obviously you look at the recent history here, and if Les Miles and Ed Orgeron can win national championships at LSU, if all three of the last three head coaches won national championships, it tells you that in my opinion, that is a top 5 job, and they should swing for the fences. And I guess you never know who might be willing to take it. But I think that when you've got a head start like this, I wouldn't be surprised if they're chasing some really big folks and might miss on some, but who knows? It's one of the best jobs out there.
So, Max, the Big 12 started to take shape a little bit. There's a pocket of like 3 or 4 schools at the top that are in the mix. Baylor, Iowa State have losses, but the two Bedlam schools unbeaten. OU will remain that way this weekend, but Oklahoma State traveling to Ames to take on Iowa State. What are your thoughts on this matchup? I mean, it seems to be two quarterbacks who can be up and down, 2 great running backs and 2 great defenses. They're kind of similar in a lot of ways, but what are your thoughts on Cyclones and Cowboys and Ames?
Yeah, well, did you guys see the line on that one?
Yeah.
Iowa State's a 7-point favorite at home against Oklahoma State. I mean, that tells you that there's some skepticism among the smart folks in Vegas about how real Oklahoma State is. And I think this is a hell of a game for this race. It really is. I think this is Iowa State's chance to get back into it. I think Iowa State's going to win. But with the way Oklahoma State has played defense, and you guys have seen it, it's going to take some really great scheming by Matt Campbell and his staff. They've got the players. We know Breece Hall can move the ball. We know Brock Purdy's playing better right now. And as we saw against Baylor, clearly, for Iowa State, you got to be good in all 3 phases, and then they just weren't against Baylor. But, I think that I like Iowa State in this game, but man, Oklahoma State, they're kind of a weird team to size up because you don't feel like, they're playing better. And defensively, I think that they have a chance to play with a lot of teams. But offensively, I don't know that I have that trust level. As good as Jalen Warren has been to sort of balance out that offense, it feels like each week it comes down to, what are you getting from Spencer Sanders? Is he playing really well, or is he throwing it to the other team and putting them in tough spots?
Max, what's the latest on the episodes of As the Huskers Turn with Scott Frost?
Oh, it's a bye week, so it's time to start making excuses for this season and figuring out which assistants to fire and pin the blame on, and try to talk yourself into another year of Scott Frost, I suppose. How you feeling on that, Smokey? You good with that?
No, I don't know. I don't know, man. I knew what they would do at Minnesota. I called it when I walked in the studio. I knew it would be like just an average blase, whatever you want to. It was just ugh, and it's exactly what happened. And I'm tired of them playing dumb football, and I'm just tired of them. You just kind of know what's going to happen. I'm ready.
You go down the list here too. Okay, you go down that schedule. So they got Purdue next, which Purdue just showed out last week how good they could be when they're clicking. They've still got Ohio State, Wisconsin, Iowa. Like is that 4-8? How bad is it going to be? Is it 3-9? So I think that it's wild. It's wild. I don't know if they're heading to a change or not. I'm sure Trev Alberts wants every reason to not have to do it. But we'll just see how. Oh, you knew that the schedule was really tough in November, and that's why you had to beat Illinois and you had to beat Minnesota, and they whiffed on both of those. And so now probably not going to a bowl game, and you're just trying to avoid embarrassment now because embarrassment is potentially what gets you fired.
Yeah,
they're done. I mean, there was a chance. Michigan,
he's right though, Max.
Michigan
State, I grew up watching Nebraska football, and it's maddening watching them now, and just the self-inflicted mistakes that you know that they're coming, right? You know that as good of a position as they might be in, something's going to happen to. They
have a chance to go take that drive down and score, and they take a safety on the first play, right?
Exactly.
My goodness, you can't make it up.
Yeah,
no, miss a field goal. Kick a 51-yarder, miss an extra point.
It's just crazy.
Be faked out by Michigan State, who can't move the football on a punt return. It's dumb football.
Yeah, and you go play your butts off against Michigan, and then of course, Smokey, you and I know when they go line up against Minnesota, and Minnesota's not that good this year, but you're like, yep, this is going to be a close one.
Yeah, you know it was going to happen.
They just don't know how to show up. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is. Hey, Max, what are your thoughts? We just had Jeff Traylor on, was that yesterday? Or the day before? Yesterday, I guess. UTSA 7-0, and they got La Tech, a little road trip coming up this weekend, but it seems like Jeff Traylor's a good candidate to maybe start getting some mentions, over the near future here for some jobs, but he's got San Antonio rocking right now. What are your thoughts on that program and the job he's done?
Oh yeah, love to see it. I mean, I think it's fantastic, and then of course, really big week this week for that whole athletic department. And what a cool deal. I mean, I think it's that was a really good hire. I mean, I think there's some of these guys like Jeff Traylor. They have the right connections throughout the state. There's a respect level in terms of everywhere they've been. He had the right experience in going to Texas, going to Arkansas, kind of figuring out what kind of players to go for at that program, and love what they're doing in terms of the culture, in terms of just the finding good players and figuring out how to be successful in that conference. And yeah, he's an interesting one when you talk about the job market. I mean, you look at it and you say, should he be the next coach of Texas Tech? Do guys like him hold out hoping maybe you can get a job like Houston someday? I mean, I do wonder, but he's certainly in the state of Texas there, continues to build a fantastic reputation, and really happy for that program that they've gotten it rolling here, because I think you knew it had some potential, and it didn't really happen under Frank Wilson. But man, what a great hire, and they're a fun team to watch. They really, really are. Thanks for your time, Max. Appreciate it. Max Olson, theathletic.com with us, covers college football and some of the great stories and coaching searches, and he did the midseason transfer portal. A little grab bag of stuff with him, on a variety. That's why college football is fun. It's not just the games. The games are a lot of fun, but it also is all the insanity of, the transfer portal and recruiting and coaching hot seats and, I think realignment. I think Aaron Sorkin should do a show like The West Wing about college football. Yeah. We were talking about Aaron Sorkin earlier. He would crush it. I mean, there's so much other stuff behind the scenes. I'll tell you that I'm not always like a big cable TV watcher. I kind of just watch more movies and stuff like that. But that new FX series on Clinton and the whole Monica Lewinsky situation, actually saw it the other night. Really good, really good. And I could see. I could see maybe with college football, like kind of having that same sort of a deal, like a little mini series or something on realignment madness or whatnot. But yeah, there's certainly enough storylines. You just do LSU alone, we could have a whole mini series. I checked. Sometimes I read the comments on the top fives, and I had the one about Ed O. And the comments usually, sometimes are like, the three of you are idiots, would you shut up, or something like that, and I ignore those. But one of them just straight up sent me like stories about Ed O and the fact that there's rumors about him now bringing multiple girlfriends to practice and letting their kids call plays and stuff after the national championship. And,
There's, I mean, that could be the LSU show right there.
Yeah.
Come on, son, I'm going to be your new daddy. Yeah. Colt 32 dive.
Yeah, well.
Someone suggested he's on game day. I wouldn't understand a word he's saying.
No.
I don't think that's going to happen either. But
maybe like sporadically, but not as a full-time host. I think that would probably get a little grating after a while. Just for me, though.
Yeah. All right. So we continue at Sikkim 365 Radio at 365 Sports. The